as you guys can probably see, we had defeated Raszageth, and she managed to ultimately and completely expectedly free the remaining Primal Incarnates. Among them, they had freed the big bad guy Iridikron, who apparently dabbled in some really terrible, really bad stuff in the past, and whose connection to Earth is so strong that he's going to be hiding for a really long time. Now, we have the Old God Whisperer from Earth, he draws strength, our Earth, our strength. We have the K-Magic, the same one that created Galakrond, present all throughout the Dragon Isles, and we also have the mention of Alexstrasza's undead brother. To combine that, Iridikron is planning to do something really crazy, and yeah, let's connect a few dots and see what could be happening with the current hints available. Real quick before we get into the video, if you guys want more internet freedom, check out Atlas VPN, this video sponsor that currently has the best deal on the entire market, as you can get it for just $1.7 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee with my link in the description below with an amazing Christmas deal. For example, if you guys are from countries that WoW can't block, you can literally completely bypass this with Atlas VPN with a single click of a button, and you can follow all the WoW news. Furthermore, you can unlock your favorite content to websites like Netflix, you can stop ads and viruses, and you can even get best deals while shopping online and keep your Google searches private. Best of all, with a single subscription you can protect all of your devices. So make sure that you have a private Christmas and a safe New Year with Atlas VPN that you can get for just $1.7 per month plus 6 months free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Use my link in the description below and get this limited time Christmas deal. So, Iridikron is actually a brand new villain and something that Blizzard just recently came up with. At the moment, the entire lore about what happened around that time of the Dawn of the Aspects is super vague, so we don't really know, as in, we don't really have any facts on how this massive war had actually played out. However, we do sort of have an outline that we can base information on. The Titans decided to enhance, as they would call it, or better yet, they decided to turn proto-dragons to their side. Now, dragons by nature seem to be elemental, as you can see by these Primal Incarnates, and unbeknownst to us, since the aspects hit as well, quite a few dragons actually rebelled against this Titan order. They didn't want to join the Titans, and they saw the aspects as selling out their people to this foreign invader. Steve the User actually said in an interview that the primalists actually weren't villains at the start. They had a pretty decent point, but over time they had committed so many terrible things that they essentially became the bad guys that we have today. So the point of all the info is that Iridikron, the Primal Incarnate of Earth, essentially the polar opposite to Neltharion, did something really bad. This seems to have started out as a civil war between the dragon factions, and the primalists apparently started losing, so Iridikron, in a terrible act of desperation, made a pact with someone, more than likely the old gods, and he unleashed terrible things upon the entire dragon kind, but potentially the whole of Azeroth. Apparently, even the other incarnates didn't know the extent to what he had done, and would have probably abandoned him had they known, which to me almost certainly points out that he probably made a pact with the Black Empire in order to restore them and get rid of the Titans, or he had something to do with the K-Magic and Galakrond. But let's unravel some of this information, as we actually do have some really interesting possibilities as well as brand new stuff straight out from the game. So as you may have seen at the end of the first raid, the Vault of the Incarnates, we defeated Raszageth, but she completely expectedly managed to free Vironot, Firak, and most importantly, Iridikron. Now, as you may have noticed, an interesting detail, the first two seem to be worried mainly about their sister Raszageth, being shocked that she's dead and swearing to avenge her, but Iridikron just straight out didn't even care. He just came out and he was like, all who oppose us will perish. I don't care about Raszageth, I just want to get all of you. Initially, Alexstrasza mentioned she didn't kill the Incarnates because they used to be family, so it's likely that the other Incarnates weren't necessarily the bad guys. It could have really just been Iridikron that is the actual villain. Then we got the other updated cinematic with Alexstrasza, where she gives us more information about Iridikron and really makes this matter super interesting. Apparently, the 3 remaining Incarnates are not just going to, goof around and just attack us straight out so we can eliminate them easily, but they're going to build a master plan, and Iridikron, as an Incarnate of Earth, knows just how to hide so that no one can find him, and they're going to unleash something super big and unexpected. This, of course, leads us to the topic of this video, and a really popular theory that this could just this be the actual resurrection of none other than the monster himself, Galakrond. So here is all the current proof that we currently have. We don't really know the timeline of this ancient war, but we know that this entire Galakrond thing happened prior to the war, as the primalists are said to be followers of Galakrond and his ideals. So we can see it going this way. Youngstron corrupted the waters, Galakrond became a monstrosity, then some of the dragons defeated him and were in turn turned into aspects. Titans realized that the proto-dragons seemed to be useful and they realized they could use them as a weapon, so in turn they corrupted the waters themselves so they can get them to their side. An opposition to this was created in the form of primal incarnates that were the opposite to the aspects, and a massive war broke out. Now let us look at the most interesting fact, and that is that as they were losing the war, Iridikron used the forbidden weapon and more than likely turned to the only thing that ever proved a threat to the Titans, and that is Galakrond, or more than likely the forces that created Galakrond, and that is the Old Gods. As you know, the Black Empire Titan War, this ancient war, was a pretty close and probably the largest conflict ever on Azeroth. Iridikron at the time was essentially the exact opposite, or exact parallel to Deathwing or Neltharion. Neltharion really was just a Titan version of Iridikron. Both of them were super tied to the earth, and you can kinda guess who is under the earth. Obviously, the Old Gods. We know for a fact that Neltharion was just straight out corrupted by Old God Whisperers from the Earth during the Sundering, but we had also recently learned that this corruption happened 10,000 years earlier during the Draktyr conflict, and now this whole new information can completely make sense of what actually happened in that video. The Titan Dragons were more than likely winning the war. The primalists in the form of Iridikron turned to Old God powers. Neltharion realized, I'm an aspect of Earth myself, I can do the exact same thing, so he turned to Old God powers against the primalists, and this was probably like a Iridikron Deathwing, like an inside secret. So Neltharion hid this from the aspects and Iridikron hid this from the primal incarnates, but they were both kind of dabbling in the same magic. This brings us to that famous quote that we can always attributed to Deathwing, but more than likely this is actually attributed to both Deathwing and Iridikron. From the earth he draws strength. Our earth, our strength. Of course, none of this is actually concrete information, but if we conclude that Iridikron could have done the same thing and collaborated with the Old Gods, what is that he could have done during this supposed collaboration? Well, my opinion is that more than likely it was something related to Galakrond. He may have attempted to resurrect him with the help of Old God powers, or he may have attempted to use the same decay energy to create a similar problem for the Titans and their minions. This actually goes in line with what Alexstrasza said in the introduction cinematic, and that is that she was essentially scared of Iridikron and his supposed hunger. As you may know, Galakrond also had a massive hunger which was created through Old God magic, as we had recently learned, so it is possible that he created a new type of hunger, or he tried to turn himself into Galakrond 2.0. Seeing that all that stuff failed, that brings us to the current events, and that is that now we are left with 3 escaped primal incarnates that are going to try to do something really terrible. Through Iridikron's power, they are hiding deep underground and it will be near impossible to track them, and that leads us to the first hint, and one of the most well-known ones. As you can probably heard by this point, it was said that 10.1 is supposed to have something to do with the underground, and this will most likely be that. We had data mine files months before Dragonflight was even released, so we really knew about this 10.1 underground. However, could Iridikron, now desperate more than ever, decide to do something super crazy? Could he potentially find a way to get to Northrend and actually just be a madman and resurrect Galakrond and reconstruct the biggest threat to Azeroth ever? Personally, while it would be super interesting, I don't think it is highly likely, as Galakrond's bones are pretty well guarded. They're not like beneath the ground. I mean, you can literally just go to Dragonflight, you can find them. So realistically, it would be pretty easy to stop him if he attempted to do this. What I do think is a lot more likely is that he could create a brand new Galakrond, a new one that learned on Galakrond's mistakes, that is going to be more powerful than anything ever before. There are actual hints in the game that can prove this. If you guys have quested throughout the Dragon Isles, you may have noticed these rotting knolls, as they had somehow stumbled upon decay magic, which is actually close to Earth as an element on the cosmological chart. This decay magic also seemingly corrupted ley lines, and ley lines are like the main source of arcane, which is just straight out Titan magic. It is really not hard how to connect 2 and 2 together and to notice that someone is using decay to corrupt Titan sources of magic, to weaken Titan influence, and I'm guessing the entire Null storyline is they probably just stumbled upon this and they were just collateral damage, like Nulls are really not important in the big picture. There have actually been multiple Old God hints all over the Dragon Isles, with back-in-time whispers, with the fact that Yoxtron is still alive in Northrend, and things may actually be falling into place, and Iridikron could really be the match that is going to start the entire Old God fire. Another really interesting theory is a bit less known one, but that is in regards to Drellad. If you guys didn't know, Alexstrasza and Ysera are sisters, and all the way back thousands and thousands of years ago during Galakron's reign, they had a brother by the name of Drellad, who was an orange proto-dragon. Well, Drellad fell victim to Galakron, and he actually turned into one of these unliving, the first ever undead on Azeroth, those corrupted by decay magic. His body had seemingly gone missing, no one knows where it is, but seeing that the aspects didn't have the heart to kill the Primal Incarnates that they fought against, I'm guessing Alexstrasza also couldn't just get rid of her brother, and she might have hid him somewhere deep below ground. So there is a possibility that Drellad could be turned into a weapon, or maybe used by Iridikron, or used as a source to create a new Galakron. I'm not actually just, digging some obscure information from Dawn of the Aspects. In the game, in an actual questing campaign, you can go into Tyr's Vault, and there is information in regards to all the current dragon aspects. In particular, in regards to Alexstrasza, Drellad is actually mentioned, and that is that her and Ysera had a brother that fell victim to this unliving curse. This, of course, could just be a random hint, but it could also be a huge foreshadowing for what is to come in the future. Seeing that Ysera returned from the afterlife and there is that entire Shadowlands connection, something could definitely be happening here. Regardless though, Iridikron is going to do something quite big in the very near future, and personally I think this is going to be highly related to Galakron and the Old Gods. Furthermore, seeing that they had set up Deathwing using Old God powers back in the day through that animated series, I'm guessing we're also going to learn a lot more information about Deathwing, and there might even be a connection between Altarian and Iridikron that we had never known about. Thank you for watching. Check out Alexstrasza's undead brother and who he actually is by clicking on the screen, and check out the Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.